Welcome in, beautiful soul family. Today we are back around to the subject of fear. Talking about how that fear limits our potential. So I pulled Sweat Lodge, Purification card, which speaks to the idea, really, I guess, that we have to purify ourselves of fear because it's a limiting system of belief. And I also pulled my other dragon card, which this one is in reference to life force energy. And really, the dragon is the physical representation of the embodiment of that life force energy to its fullest. The infinite potential, I guess. So there's a lot I want to touch on today, and I hope that I can get through all this in a manner that isn't jumping around too much, because I want to kind of tie a lot of things together. So fear is, as we've talked about, an energy of contraction. And the fear can come in and be in our body, in our life, in so many different ways. We can have a fear of death. We have often a fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of pain or hurt. And these are all sort of survival mechanisms, ways that we have conformed ourselves to avoid things that we fear. Because we have this idea of ourselves and who we are. But what we have to remember is that this is an idea of self based on limitation. This is the ego self based on limitation and not the infinite potential of source energy. So separation from source energy is what leads to fear. So you've created this sense of self, which has helped you survive. Okay. And what I want to help you do is step into a sense of freedom and letting that fear go. So the purification card is we're letting go. We're letting old things go that don't serve us anymore. In this case, fearful ideas, feelings, beliefs. We're letting those things go so that a new sense of self may be present in our world, may be present in this now moment. Because when you're in fear, you're in a survival mode and you're not fully present. And the contraction, or sorry, rather the contraction energy of fear, it's really living in a state of limitation versus living in expansion, an unlimited potential, which is the true nature of who you are. Because we're not fear. We don't come into this world full of fear. These are learned. Limitation is learned. It is not inherent. In our world, we are taught to fear by our experiences, by others. There's a lot of different ways in which fear becomes a part of our daily life. Trauma can lead to fear. So it's really important to understand that when you're in fear, you're closed off. You're in a sort of survival mode. You're constantly living in ways where you can avoid death, avoid the unknown, avoid rejection, avoid failure, avoid pain and hurt. And when we do this continually, it sort of keeps us in a box. So why I chose this crystal plate to go under our fear card, because really truly we do keep ourselves in a box of limitation. We want to get out of that box of limitation and find the freedom that exists all around us, really. And it's a journey into yourself. One reason I love these, journey into the self, the core, finding the core of what and who you truly are, which is source, divine energy, is what you are. And when you can go into the self and really discover who you are on that level, connected to source, it dissolves and dissipates fear from controlling your life. Because there's always a flip side to everything, and that is our world of duality. This is what we are immersed in. This is how we learn. As I said before, the fear of death, fear of unknown, of rejection, of failure, of pain and hurt. All of those things are ways that we limit ourselves from truly living when we continually ruminate or act in such a way that prevents us from doing things that we either need to do or we want to do. We're not living, we're trapped in our box. And on each side of the upper and lower sides of this, I want to draw your attention here to this representation of life as an egg. And this is just a representation of death. One isn't better than the other, but in our world, this is how we learn polarity. Life does not exist without death, and death does not exist without life. When we come to a place where we don't fear death, we can really truly step into a higher degree of living, a more expanded degree of living. When we don't fear the unknown, we can step into potential. When we don't fear rejection, we put ourselves out there. When we don't fear failure, we do what our heart yearns to do. When we don't fear pain and hurt, we act and we do things out of courage and bravery. So this is a reminder this week to become aware of the fear that you carry. Be present with it. And take some time to sit with it. And I want to take you back to the sweat lodge. Sit with these fears that you carry, that you hold. And see if you can discover how those fears are holding you back. Fear actually drains our life force energy. When you're in a constant state of fear, in a survival mode, your life force energy just drains right out of you constantly. And that is a big reason why so many people today are exhausted. Because our society is set up in such a way that we are continually taught to live in fear. And if there's nothing for us to fear at the current moment, something will be created. Some way to cause fear of separation, of lack, all of these different things. Fear is not what you are. Fear is not who you are. And I'm always a person who I really like to break down words and see the different other words that are in a word. So fear, for example, this just came in to me. The word ear is in fear. And what do we do with our ears? We listen. And F just immediately brings me to feeling, even though that's not technically the word there. Feeling and listening. How does fear make you feel? Listen to your body. It's contraction. It doesn't feel good. And so when we can step out of that fear, bring awareness to it, bring awareness to the fact that it is the confines of our limited self. It is not what we really are. So in order for us to evolve into the something greater, we have to learn to let go of fear. Bringing that energy of death and life to fear, letting go, which is death. Letting go of things that no longer serve us so that the potential of new life can flow in. And that goes back to what I said earlier, that there is no life without death, and there's no death without life. One does not really exist without the other. But at a core level, a core soul level, you will never be destroyed because you are made of everything that is. So fear is an illusion. Any fear that you hold is an illusion. It's a learning tool. And so that is how I want you to think of that over the next week. Think of the ways in which you fear. Be present with it. Sit in the sweat lodge. Sit with that fear. And really take your awareness into that fear and break it down. I used to have this incredible fear of death. I am not kidding you. I would lay awake at night ruminating of the ways that, oh my God, I might die. And it consumed me. And when I really began my healing path, I think facing into that death, right? Having small little ego deaths over and over again has brought me closer and closer to having no fear of death anymore. I don't fear death anymore because I know what I am. I know I am connected to Source, the energy of God that is infinite. I know that I am that. Death is an illusion. A lot of us, we carry a fear of the unknown. What if this thing happens? All right, well, what if it does? If it does, you deal with it in the best way you can. What if I get rejected from this person? Okay, and what if you don't? And also, what if you do? If you do, that is going to give you a greater sense of who you are and what you deserve. What if you fail when you attempt to do something? You can look at that with just like anything. You can look at it one of two ways. You can see the limitation in it, which is, oh my gosh, if I fail, I'm just ruined. Or you can see the potential in it, which is, if I fail this time, it's a step deeper into the right direction, and I will learn where to go from there. You know, there's so many ways that we have to kind of retrain our brain because, like I said, in our world, we are taught to fear everything. We are taught that there are certain ways that we control our lives and we are safe, quote unquote safe. We are financially stable and we have savings and we have all of these things in place. But none of that guarantees anything. And if anything, all of those little safety things that we put into place are just another way that we live in a box of limitation. I'm not saying any of those things are wrong. I'm just saying that we are taught to fear, like, oh, if we don't have this money in savings, what if something bad happens? If we don't have retirement money saved up, what if this happens? What's going to happen to me? Well, life happens. You don't have to fear it. You don't have to fear anything, because fear is an illusion. There's so many what ifs. Every aspect of life is sort of a what if. And worrying or sitting in fear does nothing to help you evolve into freedom. When you let go of fear, potential opens up all around you. And that's what I want you to take away from this and remember over the next week. When you take away fear, when you sort of step out of your box, you're evolving into potential. Because fear sort of keeps you wrapped up in this little box, right? It keeps you doing the same things, making the same choices, doing the same actions. This is who I am. This is safe. This is me. I'm not going to step outside this box for fear of the unknown. And humans, we're sort of, I will say we're kind of wild animals. We're not meant to live in boxes or cages. But the construct of fear is a huge cage that we live in daily. So I want you to think over the next week of how can you, again, like I was saying, sit with that fear, kind of examine it a little, look at it, go into it and see how real it really gets for you. Know your unlimited, infinite potential, because knowing who you are as a being of source, as a child of God, you have nothing to fear. Fear is such a limitation, such a crazy thing that holds so many people back from reaching their potentials. But don't let that be you. Let's all start eliminating those fears. Little by little, start demolishing fear out of your life. Start stepping into expanded reality. And that's going to look different for everyone. But it's up to you to go in, see where the fear is, see what the fear is, see how it's controlling you. And chances are, if you're anything like me, as soon as I feel like something's starting to control me, I want to buck the system. I don't want to be controlled. I want to be in a state of freedom. And the visual that comes to my mind is a wild Mustang versus a domesticated horse. They're the same animal. One's bridled and saddled, conformed, and it's in a box. One is wild and free to do whatever and go wherever it pleases. So that's what I want you to remember over the next week. If you have any questions or comments, please put it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. because all of these things help my videos reach other people. And that's my goal, is really to help other people, help us all, so we can find freedom within ourselves, within life, because that's the way it's meant to be. So I'm sending you all so much love, and until next time.